Test. Test. Good evening. It is great to see all of your faces in Jefferson Elementary School. My name is Bob Lawson. I'm superintendent of Henderson County Schools, and thank you all for joining us this evening for the new Jefferson Elementary School ribbon cutting. Construction began on this project in July of 2020, and here we are today in this beautiful, brand new school. Our school features a modern media center that serves as the heart of the building with innovative technology. The spacious gymnasium we're sitting in can hold the entire student body. A separate bus and parent pickup, drop-off vehicle pathways, and parking to accommodate over 200 cars. Maximum use of natural sunlight and energy efficiency throughout the school, geothermal HVAC system, and a tornado shelter that can protect every student and every teacher. When we started this project, this was the safest school in Kentucky. As you can see, we have a few finishing touches, but we're on the home stretch. And we look forward to seeing our students, all of our students and all of our staff here on August 10th on the first day of school. And we're beyond grateful to be here tonight for this celebration. We're thankful to many of you who have been with us every step of the way. It has been a true team and community effort. I'd like to now introduce Jefferson Elementary School Principal, Mrs. Gwen Courtney, to introduce our student speaker.
It's my honor and privilege to introduce a Jaguar that always leads like Jeffy. He is a fifth grader, and his name is Dax Davis. Come on up, Dax. Give him a round of applause.
Hi, I'm Dax Davis, and I'm going to be in the 5th grade. I love being a Jefferson Jaguar. I'm so excited about the new gym. It's bigger, nicer, and a cleaner environment. It will host amazing basketball games. Thank you for building our dream school.
I would now like to introduce and thank our community partner, Faith Christian Church, who committed to helping see our students succeed. Tonight we have with us Reverend David Clifford to share a few words. Mr. Clifford.
Dr. Lawson said, my name is Reverend David Clifford. I'm the senior minister at First Christian Church here in Henderson. And I want to thank Dr. Lawson and the board and Ms. Courtney for giving me the opportunity to say a few words this evening. I recognize it's a bit of a risk giving the microphone to a preacher, so I promise to be as short as possible. I get to be here with you this evening representing a congregation that has historically been connected and rooted to Henderson, Kentucky since 1841. And for most of our recent history, we have been partnered with Jefferson Elementary in helping them accomplish their own mission in educating the children of our community. Our own church has a number of Jefferson Jaguars with them. Some have even attended the original Jefferson Elementary that was located on Jefferson Street. My wife and I both volunteer as much as possible here at Jefferson, and our own children are also Jefferson Jaguars. I want to congratulate on behalf of First Christian Church, Henderson County Schools, and Jefferson Elementary on the completion of this beautiful school. I believe that the building of this space that we're in this evening can be used as a metaphor for the important work that will take place within these walls. We know that something like this building isn't built overnight. It takes great planning, communication, dedication from each person to work together in accomplishing the goal itself. And so I pray that such cooperation will not stop as we move from getting the building built to continuing to build a foundation of learning within our community's future. I can also imagine the stress and the sleepless nights that come with such a project as building a new school building, especially in the midst of a pandemic that throws off scheduling and funding in ways no one could have planned for. So I pray that the stress and the constant dilemmas that come with teaching in the future of this school would be able to be met with the same determination and excitement that comes with seeing the finished project of this building here this evening. And finally, I want to highlight the cost of such a project. Now, no one has told me exactly what the number was, but I'm betting it was more than they originally planned for it to be. Thanks to COVID and ongoing inflation and even a delayed timeline. And we each know that with everything we do in life, there is a cost to it. Some financial, some physical, some intellectual, some emotional, and even some spiritual. So I pray that no matter the cost, all people involved in the education, that the children that walk into this building and through these halls will continue to have the passion and the heart to never waver in serving the most important part of our community, its children. The beauty of this place reminds us of the dedication and the care that this wonderful community has for our children. And I pray that this new school will always be a reminder that we must invest all we have into our children. May the excitement and the energy of this moment propel each new generation that utilizes this space in the continual education of our society's future. Thank you.
Thank you again to our community, as the pastor said, for investing in excellence. We know as a community that the best investment we can make is in the education of our children. It's evident as we walk these halls today. I'd like to recognize the following individuals for their support and commitment to the new school building. As I call your name, please come forward to be part of the ribbon cutting ceremony. The Henderson County Board of Education, Mr. Mike Waller, Ms. Tracy Williams, Mr. Kirk Haynes, Mr. Wes Smith, Mr. Tom Alves, Board Attorney, Ms. Beth Bird, and our Board Recording Secretary, Ms. Robin Newton, former Board Chair, Ms. Lisa Baird, and former Henderson County School Superintendent, Ms. Margana Stanley. Our architects, if you would step forward, Ms. Baird, Ms. Stanley. Our architects, Hafer Design, you guys will come on down. Eric Rain, Project Architect. Jess Park, Mechanical Engineer. Chad Wargle, Electrical Engineer. Rebecca Brady, Interior Design. Our Construction Manager, who was on site overseeing the schedule and the day-to-day construction. Codell, Mr. David Welker. In addition to those who were instrumental, others that were instrumental through the process, please come forward. Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Nancy Gibson. Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Chad Thompson. Our Maintenance Department, specifically Mr. Donnie Thacker and Mr. Ben Payne. Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Chrissy Sandiford. Previous principal at Jefferson Elementary. Our Technology Department, under the direction of Mr. Chris Gordon. Our Child Nutrition Director, Ms. Charlotte Baumgartner. Our Finance Director, Ms. Cindy Cloutier. And I would like Ms. Courtney, Jefferson students and staff, please come join us as well to be part of the ribbon cutting ceremony. I'll start filling in there. Ms. Courtney, your staff and students. Mr. Steve Steiner. all the, Mr. Rush, Mr. Steiner, come on, guys. Mr. Justice. Mr. Jeff Justice, would you come down, please, with Hafer? Please come down, all of you guys. Gotcha. Yeah, we need a few down this way. It's like the family picture. Scoot. How do we look for the pictures? Do we have everybody in there? We got to get everybody in a little tighter. Let's come on in a little bit tighter, you all. Squeeze in. I'll meet you up there. Okay. It is with great pride and pleasure that we cut the ribbon for the new Jefferson Elementary School. Thank you all very much. We're moving on to the regular board meeting. If you'd like to leave, you're welcome to do that now, or if you want to stick around for the board meeting, you could do that too. We'll take about 10 minutes here for some pictures, and if you all want to stick around.
County Board of Education on July 25th, 2022. It's the special meeting of the regular meeting of the Board of Education. And I appreciate everybody coming out for the ribbon cutting and the walkthrough on this brand new school. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be here in this new school. And Dr. Lawson, I think the turnout that we had tonight was phenomenal. And all the youngsters that were up there for the ribbon cutting was fantastic. So at this point in time on the agenda, how we doing? Okay? Can you still hear me? All right. It's time for our Pledge of Allegiance. We have some folks that are going to lead us in that.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You're going to introduce those folks for us?
Try my sound out here. Test. Good? Are we good? So our student ambassadors tonight, thank you all for doing our pledge and for being such great ambassadors to all the fine folks who showed up today. Great job on your leadership. You pursuing excellence. This is Joe Coghill, Seth Galloway, Mabry Rice, Olivia Roy, Jaree Thomas, and Mallory Veal. Give them a hand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you folks being here and what you do in our school system because it makes us all proud, and I know it makes the school proud. Thank you. Next item on the agenda would be the approval of the agenda as presented. So we've had the agenda ahead of time, so I entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as presented, please. Have a motion from Mr. Alvis.
Second.
Second from Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by show of hands, please. Vote unanimous. We will work through the agenda as it's presented. The next item would be Community Partner Spotlight. And Dr. Lawson, you're going to start this one?
Yes, sir. Tonight we have two community partners we'd like to recognize. And the first person we'd like to recognize is Mr. Kevin Patton. Kevin started his career in 1996 at the Gleaner. He has covered the Final Four runs and the state baseball championship in 2000. From covering games to making tweets, he has been a #1 supporter of our students and staff. We appreciate all that Kevin has done for our sports teams over the past 26 years. We congratulate him on retirement, kind of. He is definitely once a colonel, always a colonel. I jokingly say kind of, because Kevin Patton's commitment to covering Henderson County sports is what the pursuit of excellence looks like. It's who he is as a person, the way he's promoted our students and our coaches, and the brand of our school system over those years, over those long, many weeks, months, nights, days, years. We are eternally grateful. We're happy for you in your new role, but we certainly miss you. So we'd like to recognize Mr. Kevin Patton.
Thank you, Dr. Lawson. Next person we want to recognize as part of our community partnership is a friend of mine that I've known since 1975, Mr. Glenn Oates. Glenn has been a friend of mine for, well, you do the math, 47 years. 40 of those years, any of you folks that have traveled up and down Green Street on the south end of town have seen Glenn. If you haven't, you weren't looking, because the first thing you'll notice is the big smile that he has every time you go by that school. Every time I've ever talked to Glenn, and I've worked with Glenn, I've played ball with Glenn during those time frames from 1975. He's a special person, and anybody that commits themselves for 40 years to do what he's done, to help kids get to school every day, that's what he's done during that 40 years. He's been the crossing guard at Jackson Street and Green Street every year, and he'll stand right out there in the middle of all the traffic and make sure all the kids get to school. And I'm going to tell you a couple of stories that Glenn and I had a chance to talk about the other day. And this shows you the compassion that he has had for our students in Henderson County. He talked about a young man that was part of his crossing guard group that went on to graduate from Henderson County, became a colonel in the military, and acknowledged Glenn was one of those persons that was a mentor and an example to him, because he met the kids every day to go on and make a career out of the military and rise to the level of a colonel in the military. Another child that was too bashful to, this is the kind of trust these youngsters had in Glenn, too bashful to say anything to a young lady, and gave a letter to Glenn so that Glenn would give it to the girl, so that the little girl would know that this boy kind of wanted to talk to her a little bit. And on Fridays, Glenn and his wife used to give treats to the youngsters as they were coming to school. And this is just the kind of example that you see in Henderson of people that have the commitment and compassion and the passion for education in Henderson County. I could stand up here for another hour and just talk to you about things that I've known about Glenn, and I've seen Glenn, because having known him from 1975 until this day, that's 47 years. But Glenn is the example of a person that puts himself out there to help Henderson County schools be the kind of school system that we want to be. So at this point in time, we'd like to recognize Mr. Glenn Oates for the over 40 years that he helped our kids get to school every day. So Glenn, come on down. We want to present you with this token, and bring your family, because we're going to get a picture of everybody, all of them. Bring them all down, Glenn. We're going to get a picture of all of them. Bring them all down. All of y'all come on down. We're going to get a picture of all of you with Glenn. Come on down. Bring them. Come on. I mean to bring all all of them, Glenn. Bring them all. Come on, Glenn. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to get a picture of Dr. Lawson giving that to you and your whole family. Bring them all down. And look at them all out there. We want them all to get in this picture. We appreciate y'all coming out. The next item on the agenda would be a special presentation for the Jefferson Elementary School. Mr. Steiner?
Yes, sir. Back in February, Mr. Risher Willard sent Dr. Lawson an email, and I want to share some information with you and share what he had to give to Henderson County Schools. Mr. Willard shared that Miles R. Willard was his father and was a principal, a teacher, and a coach here in Henderson County School System in the early 1960s. He was gifted this antique clock from 1905 that was in the old Jefferson School, which was subsequently torn down for a new school in the early 60s. He says he faintly remembers the school was a two-story building that had an evacuation slide on the second story, which we have a picture of at our board office if you've ever been there. And his desire was to re-gift the clock to Henderson County Board of Education and to Jefferson Elementary. When his father passed, he had it, and he just felt like this was the time to bring it back to its roots and to Henderson County. So Dr. Lawson and I agreed that it was more important for him to stay in Henderson and me to go to Atlanta. And so I went to Atlanta and had lunch with the fella, and we talked about some things, and I was able to share with him about this new Jefferson and about what it was and how it's getting built and what it looks like. And he was thrilled to know that this could find a home in the new Jefferson. So at this time, I'd like to share with you this clock.
Well, we'd appreciate if you present that to Mr. Lawson. I'm sure he'll get it to the people that need it here at the school and find a prominent place for it.
Wow.
Sure. On the back it says. September 14th, 05. That's a long time ago. Next item on the agenda would be a donation to the Jefferson Elementary School by Haber Architect Company. Appreciate that. Dr. Lawson, that's you too.
Hello. We have got a few books today to give to Jefferson Elementary. Books, If I'd Built a School, Iggy Peck Architect, Be a Maker, and Rosie Revere Engineer. And hopefully, if any of the students have any inkling to get into design, construction, anything like that, they'll get inspiration from these books.
Very appropriate. We appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sure that with all those youngsters we had, there's future architect in there somewhere, and there's somebody getting into the building, into the business. Thank you so much. They'll appreciate that. Next item would be the public participation. This is the time in our agenda that if anybody would want to address this board for any item that is not on the agenda, now would be the time. You should have filled out a form prior to the meeting. Robin, do we have anybody that may have filled out the form prior to the meeting to address the board? Thank you very much, then we'll keep moving along. Next item would be to approve the minutes from our prior meetings, the June 20th special and regular meetings, and then the June 22nd, June 23rd special meetings that we just had. So I'd entertain a motion that we approve the minutes as presented, unless there's any changes that are needed. Have a motion, Mr. Alvis.
Second.
Have a second from Ms. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, vote unanimous. Minutes are approved. Next item would be the reports. First one would be Jefferson Elementary School updates. Hard to update it when you're looking at it, but come on.
It's finished.
Looks good.
Guess maybe I can be extra short and sweet since you can walk around and look at things. No, first, let me say thank you to the board, administrators, and the school staff. It's been a long, tough road to get to this point tonight. But we're here. There's still a few finishing touches, as you alluded to wrap up the next week or so before school starts. In particular, the glass windows, the storefront that separates the media center from the corridors. That material has finally shipped. We've been awaiting that for quite some time. Some touch-up paint, nothing of any major consequence, but looking to try to get these contractors finished up before school starts. So, again, thank you all for your patience. Thank you to you folks, Mr. Thompson especially. You've helped drive this thing home, so I really appreciate that. But I'll be happy to answer it. Now that you've had a chance to walk around, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to.
We've all had an opportunity to go through the school. We've seen a lot. Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Codell with regards to the school and where we are in the project? Dr. Lawson?
I would only say thank you. It's a very special place. You probably saw the looks of the parents and students and the old Jefferson staff to come in here. I know that as we've gone through the past year or so together, there's been lots of challenges.
Yes, sir.
Shortages, supplies. And so we appreciate the way, especially you're pushing on through here at the very end to finish strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Excellent. Next item on the agenda would be capital projects. Mr. Thompson, you've got a list of
Yes,
items?
sir. This evening, we have 4 items for your consideration. The first item for your consideration is Henderson County High School football field and track renovation project, and that includes installing turf and resurfacing the track at Henderson County High School. That is BG1 for BG 23-052.
Had the information contained in there. Is there any questions of anybody, of Mr. Thompson, with regards to this project?
If no questions, I'd request the board approve BG1, Henderson County High School football field and track renovation project.
Heard the recommendation from the superintendent. Have a motion, Mr. Alvis.
Second.
Second from Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimous. Thank you.
Yes, sir. The second item on capital projects is just finalizing documentation in fact pack for the approved owner contract agreement for BG1 2248, and that was the trailer relocation to North Middle School from Jefferson. That the trailers that were there and they needed more space at North. That was completed a couple years ago, and we've got in fact pack and found that those weren't completed, so we're trying to get the BG4 and BG5 and get those closed out. For your consideration, approve the owner contract agreement for BG 20-248, classroom trailer relocation to North Middle School project.
I'd request the board approve what Mr. Thompson just presented in terms of the owner contract agreement for moving the classroom trailers at NMS.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation that we approve BG 20-248 for moving and relocating a classroom trailer over to North Middle School. Have a motion, Mr. Alves.
Second.
Have a second, Ms. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, vote unanimous. Thank you.
Third item on the agenda for your consideration this evening is a change order to our safe and secure entrances project all across the district and all of our schools. We do have some doors that are considered pre-1989 doors that through the initial evaluation of the doors, they weren't for sure if they needed different hardware on the inside, and we found out later that they did need hardware on the inside, so we could actually put access controls, and this goes to safety and security. They did give us credit for what they initially had bid, and I think that credit was in the amount of $11,052, and the change order cost is $8,948 to change the bars on the pre-1989 doors.
That's new doors at Chandler, Cairo, East Heights, and Niagara.
That is correct, sir.
Dr. Lawson?
I request the board approve the change order for the safety upgrade and secure entrance card access and cameras project.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent, recommendation for a change order approval of BG 20-222. Any questions? Entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we
Have a
approve the
motion,
BG.
Mr. Haynes. Have a second from Mr. Alves. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, vote unanimous.
All right, last order of business before somebody else gets to talk this evening. We do have one more the construction documents, the drawings and specifications for BG 21-353, which is the Henderson County High School softball facility. You find those in your packet, and we ask for your recommendation to approve those this evening.
I request the board approve the construction documents, drawing, and specifications for BG 21-353, the Henderson County High School softball facility project.
Okay, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation for approval of Mr. Ransom's indoor hitting facility for the girls softball. That's a private joke between us. So I entertain a motion, we accept the superintendent's recommendation. Mr. Alves, have a motion. Have a second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next item would be, I didn't miss anything, did I? Okay, would be some old business. We have 4 second readings, one for admission and attendance, one for school attendance areas, one for a policy update, number 45, and one for student code conduct handbook. Ms. Farmer, where are you? Do you need to address anything on these? Okay, these are 4 second readings that we've had the first reading of, and they're approved, and this is just the second reading. Dr. Lawson, do you have any comments on any of these?
No, sir.
Anybody have questions with regards to any of these second readings on these 4 items?
No, I'd like to thank Ms. Farmer Wolf for her work.
Excellent work on
Excellent
both
work.
the admissions attendance and the school attendance areas, without a doubt. The item C is the district planning and district implementation plan for a few minor changes, and obviously the student code of conduct handbook didn't change much. Mr. Rushworth, a couple of words here and there, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. If you look down one more in the new business, these two are related. And all we did, our athletic director and Mr. Ransom wanted to add to the extracurricular activities, esports, wrestling, and JROTC for the purpose of those extracurriculars also being a part of the random drug screens, which is a great
Okay.
program that's going well. So we just added those 3. That's that simple
Thank you.
addition.
So then I'd entertain a motion that we accept the second reading of old business items A, B, C, and D as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, Mr. Williams, second, Mr. Alves. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, vote unanimous. Just heard Mr. Rush's description of the first reading of policy 09.423, the use of alcohol and drug business that we have in our code of conduct. That includes a few of the esports and wrestling, some other extracurricular activities that have been included. Dr. Lawson?
I'd request the board approve the reading here of the policy 09.423, and Mr. Rush has already explained that.
Make a motion that we approve the first reading of policy 09.423.
Well, thank you, Mr. Haynes. Appreciate that. We have a motion, Mr. Haynes. Second, Mr. Alvis. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Vote is unanimous. Thank you so much. Next item would be the consent agenda. We have 7 items under the consent agenda, which would be the approval of Beck's Seed Company for some shuttle during their farm days, some textbook surplus requests from South Middle School, typical district funding assurances that Cindy Cloutier has filled out, bid recommendation for a van, full-time employee list, 17 pages of list, student overnight trip request for the chef team going to the state fair competition, and then some salary schedule amendments for a cross-country coach at the elementary school, purchasing assistant, some positions at the Thelma Johnson Learning Center, and an AmeriCorps coach at the high school. Is there any item under the consent agenda that needs to be pulled for questions or discussion? I'd entertain a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented, please.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Have a motion from Mr. Haynes. Have a second from Mr. Alvis. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimous. Thank you. Ms. Cloutier, you're up next.
Okay, the treasurer's report for the month of June includes total receipts of $6,425,301 and total expenses of $12,876,033 for a net decrease in all funds of $6,450,000. That sounds low. $732. But remember, that's because we pay all of the contracts in June.
Are there any questions, Ms. Cloutier, with regards to this treasurer's report?
No.
Dr. Lawson?
No questions. I'd request the board approve the treasurer's report as presented by Ms. Cloutier.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. Entertain a motion that we approve the treasurer's report as presented. Have a motion, Mr. Alvis.
Second.
Second, Mr. Haynes. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimous. Next item would be paid warrants.
Okay, the paid warrants include the period of June 21st through July 25th. It includes total paid warrants of $7,395,958.57. Any questions on the paid warrants?
I have one question.
Go ahead, Mr. Haynes, please.
Dr. Lawson, during last school year, we heard presentations about reading and math. Oh, am I talking too loud?
Might just be my age and my ears are getting a little bit.
We've heard presentations on the math and focus and the reading. Sometime this semester, could we hear about the My World Interactive Kentucky Social Studies curriculum?
Absolutely.
And with that, Mr. Waller, I make a motion that we approve the paid warrants.
Thank you, Mr. Haynes. Have a motion, Mr. Haynes, to approve the paid warrants as presented. Have a second, Mr. Alvis. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Vote unanimous. Ms. Newton, if you'll let the record reflect that we received copies of the personnel action since our last board meeting, and we have reviewed those. The next item would be to entertain a motion that we adjourn. Have a motion, Mr. Alvis, we adjourn. Have a second from Ms. Williams. All those in favor? You're outvoted no matter what anyway. I appreciate y'all being here tonight. Thank you
Thank you
so
all
very
for your
much.
work. Thank you all.